Brighton preview, Statman Dave, was the Spurs game Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first massive test as Manchester United manager, and did he pass it with flying colours?
Yeah, I think it was his first big real test, and yes, he passed it with absolute flying colours. The way that he, opened up the Spurs defence, tactically fantastic from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I was really, really impressed. A manager that does like to switch his formation and system, but he got it completely right, and it was beautiful to see, him beating someone that's seen as the guy that could be taking the managerial job next season and tactically outclassing him. Yeah, Pochettino made a few changes at half-time. Yeah, Ole could have reacted a bit better, but the first half was absolutely perfect. And for me, completely passed that first test.
The thing is, in past previews on Full Time Devils, I've been trying to bring up the positivity more, and now it feels like it's almost gone the other way, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly, if anything, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer maybe did wrong tactically in that game. Dave, shed any light on that?
I think it was when Spurs changed, didn't they, when they went to a 4-2-3-1 and they had the two wide players, and I think we stuck with that diamond. I think that was maybe a time where we could have tweaked the system. I would have liked to see Delo maybe a little bit earlier to try and deal with Trippier on the, on the left wing maybe, and maybe getting Fred in there to add a bit of bite on the right wing. But those two defensive changes, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has, come out and said that he does want this United team to attack. So that was maybe the old school of thought, and now we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's school of thought, which is working really, really well.
Paul, are you on the bandwagon for hashtag Ole in then? Is it officially happening? Are we all on it?
Full steam ahead! Listen, it's been incredibly fun. The thing about that game that was that I enjoyed the most was how much I cared. Like, it was so nice to care again. Like, even when it was terrifying at the end, like, I just suddenly realised, wait a minute, I really care what the result of this football match is, and it's been a long time since I felt like that. So that was just a really nice feeling. And actually, I really agree with Dave. I think the one mistake Solskjaer made was not reacting quickly enough to an extremely smart move by Pochettino, which is that Pochettino held his fullbacks back. So that was actually an attacking change because it gave a platform for the rest of his side to build on. And actually, Solskjaer did eventually react to that, both by bringing Dalot on, but playing him in a really advanced position so he could kind of help to keep those fullbacks pinned back when there was counter-attacking opportunities, and by bringing Lukaku on and going more direct. So I think any way you look at it, except in terms of reducing chances created right at the end of the match by a really excellent side with an excellent manager full of attacking creative talent, you've got to, hey, you might as well use him. I thought it was a superb performance from the team and Solskjaer in particular, and I'm only 19 or 20% joking when I say that I'm fully on board the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer train. I actually think that we still need a bit more time to see how he reacts when it's not novel anymore. But it's looking really exciting and good. And the idea of going into next season with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as United manager is just intoxicating beyond belief for me at the moment.
Especially off the back of potentially a great end to the season, which could be happening. I hope we just keep this positive vibe going at Old Trafford at the minute. So Adam makes a massive change from 2 months ago, doesn't it? When certain fools were saying that the season's a complete write-off. It's me.
Yeah, apparently even changing the manager weren't going to fix things, which is a little bit weird. But let's not talk about that. Let's not go back to the past. Let's look forward. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in charge. It does feel very, very positive, but I am getting carried away, but I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to get excited. I don't want to start thinking everything's rosy and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the new Sir Alex Ferguson, even though he quite clearly is. Look, the Spurs game, did he pass it with flying colours? No, he didn't pass it with flying colours. He passed the test, 100% passed the test. He didn't pass it with flying colours because I felt we were very lucky to have held on to that 1-0 in certain aspects. Obviously, David De Gea isn't lucky, but with the amount of chances that Tottenham Hotspur actually had, you would expect them to score at least a goal. So I feel like we were a little bit lucky, but he passed the test because in that first half, like the lads have already covered, the tactics were spot on. He knew exactly what we were doing. Get the ball to Pogba, quarterback style. As soon as we do it, break on them, get Martial, get Rashford running in between the full-back space and the centre-half space and stretch them out. That's exactly what we did. That's exactly where the goal came from. Second half, he didn't react quickly enough to Tottenham Hotspur's formation changing. I think it when they had an injury, wasn't it? I don't actually think it was a tactical change from Mauricio Pochettino. I think it was an injury that they had to Sissoko, and it made them change their formation, and that actually worked in their favour. We didn't react quick enough. But I feel like at the stage that the club is at in terms of the players and as a team, we kind of needed to get over one of those moments where we're not quite sure, are we going to get through, are we not? As a fan, me watching it, I've never felt so sure that we would get 3 points. It was weird. But for the players to have got through that, I think it's a big thing for them mentally, because I'm sure they'd still be having doubts about it themselves. I'm sure they still would have been thinking, if we concede here we go again. Spurs might go on and get a second, and, it's 2-1 to Spurs. So I'm glad they got over the line, and I think mentally that could do a lot for them as well, in terms of grinding out that 1-0. We haven't kept many clean sheets this season, and we kept a clean sheet against one of the top scoring teams in the league away from home, so can't complain.
I think we already have enough phrases in these previews that go right over my head. Can we please stop using phrases like quarterback style? I have no idea what that means. Sorry, Dave, you were about to say something there.
Yeah, I think the interesting side about this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United in these bigger games, David De Gea made 11 saves, but Lloris made 7. United had so many chances. Like, that could have easily been 4-3 to United. You think of the counter-attacks that Rashford, Adam mentioned, were involved with that. David De Gea had an absolutely unbelievable game, but Lloris played very well as well. So it's one of those things where, if you look at it objectively, there was only 4 more saves for De Gea than Lloris. Like, United deserved to win that game in a way.
Paul, top 4 well and truly on now, mate.
I suppose you have to say that you have to say it has to be on. In order for that to happen, we're going to have to maintain a really serious level of consistency, and I guess Chelsea are going to have to really badly falter, because I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea hit another little groove of form at some point, because obviously they've had a wobble and that's helped us catch up, but at some point it's not like they're terrible, so and I think it's very unlikely that Spurs are going to drop out of that top 4, and obviously City and Liverpool are rolling. So I think it's really one place between 3 teams, and that's only if something really funny happens in Arsenal.
Is it just me that thinks third's still possible? I'm not even at 4th.
No, I agree.
Because a month ago I would have told you we're not finishing 6th. But now I look at it, and I'm looking at Spurs and Chelsea. I'm not even looking at Arsenal anymore, because
we are level points with Arsenal now.
Spurs have got no Harry Kane for a while.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's a lot of goals missing from them. I've not seen their fixtures, so I don't know. And then you look at Chelsea. They're selling Giroud apparently. They're letting Morata go to Atletico Madrid, and they're bringing in Gonzalo Higuain, who is obviously massive name, huge striker, but it kind of reminds me of when they got Shevchenko. So I feel like Chelsea could again be... United are going to drop points. Chelsea are going to go on a good run. So are Arsenal, so are Spurs. But I feel like we can cover 3rd at least. And then once we get 3rd, second, top, and then
win the league.
We're gonna win.
I'm not sure that we're going to win the Premier League this season. Right, moving on. Let's talk about one of maybe...
You're so negative, Gaz.
I'm sorry. I'm so negative. I'm sorry.
Gaz, that's the thing. You were certain a month ago. Now you...
So one man who is back in contention to start for Manchester United this weekend is Eric Bailly. He's back from a 3-match suspension. Paul, do you think he will start?
I've got him in my predicted 11, spoiler warning, but I'm not massively optimistic about that being the case. I think this would be a decent game to bring him back into the side in, and I kind of think he should start on the basis that comedy is really important. So it's what's the meaning of life? Partly it's to have enjoyable moments and good times and laughs with friends. And although Phil Jones does provide that, I feel like we've seen a number of seasons of that particular sitcom, and Eric Bailly's a bit more of the fresh new kid on the block. And also Eric Bailly is very good at defending. He really is. He does absolutely mad stuff quite often, but really and truly, if there is an absolutely superb defender in there somewhere.
But taking the mad stuff into consideration, Adam, do you think he is our best centre-half at the club?
Victor Lindelof's telling me he kind of is at the moment, but that is a decision that I've based on recent form, because I don't think we've got enough credit in the bank for any of our centre-halves to be able to say, yes, he's the best. Because, yeah, Bailly's looked like the best at times, and he's probably had one of the best runs of a centre-half at Manchester United in recent seasons. But Victor Lindelof looks very, very good at the moment. And Victor Lindelof looks cool, calm, collected, and he's perfect with the ball at times. So I feel like Victor Lindelof could become our best centre-half, and the rest could be fighting to play alongside him. But 6 months ago, I thought that about Eric Bailly. So it's difficult for me to say who's our best. Personally, I think people that make defending look easy are better than those that make it look hard. So for that reason, I'd have to say Victor Lindelof. But I love Eric Bailly, and I think Eric Bailly is the best centre-back in the world, my friends. You know what I mean? Like he's
How has
just
Adam gone from insanely negative to insanely positive?
Mate, everyone knows the answer to this question.
I'm not negative. I was being a realist. That's what
No,
you're going to say.
everyone knows the answer to that question. So there's one reason why. And there's one reason why the players have changed. And there's one reason why the fans have changed. There's one reason why deep down Dave's now happy. You know, we're all happy. And you don't need to just say, about me. It's changed everybody. Whether you denying it before or not.
Statman, so much talk.
Yeah. Look, I once thought Moyes was the man, and I was terribly wrong about that. But I'm happy to admit it now. So everybody that thought Mourinho was the man and you got it wrong, just come out and say it with your chest.
Dave.
He's wrong in football, isn't it?
Completely right.
Right, okay. There's been so much talk at the minute about us going out and signing another centre-half and how we absolutely need a world-class experienced centre-half. Dave, do you think there's any chance that our centre-back partnership long-term could involve Eric Bailly?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite interesting what Max said. Like, Eric Bailly looked absolutely exceptional under Mourinho at times. And, yeah, he's not been in the team under Solskjaer. He had a fantastic game, bar the red card. And he has looked like our best defender. And it's just that, like, again, he's quite a young defender. Like, we think Koulibaly is at his peak right now because he's 27. Like, he's done these games where he does crazy things. He's done that thing. It's already got through that system. So for Manchester United, it's a really interesting proposition because there's a lot of people being like, we need to go and spend, we need to go and buy. But Lindelof, as we've, always a great defender at Benfica, and it's taken him a bit of time and freedom under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to actually get to that top level. I think he was great under Mourinho, in some games, the Juve game, he was fantastic. But I really feel we've got the ball-carrying Lindelof now, where before he was limited, whereas before I was questioning, like, the stuff I'd seen at Benfica, where he'd step into midfield, he'd carry the ball out. We're now seeing that. And that, with Eric Bailly's ability to win the ball aerially, could make that pairing perfect. I still think with Phil Jones in the Tottenham game, there were moments where, United go and win the ball in the air and then they drop again and Phil Jones was chasing shadows. Eric Bailly doesn't have that. Eric Bailly is very quick. So I think if you're looking long term in terms of two centre-halves that are kind of becoming close to the right age for, what you want as defenders, that pairing could be. Like, we might not need to go and spend that money. If those two have a great end of the season, why go and buy another centre-back? We don't need another centre-back.
Don't put that idea right now, please.
No, but I actually think that's a really salient point. And also, I think people massively underestimate how much systems affect central defenders in particular, and how much playing behind an open midfield, and not even necessarily like a structurally open midfield, but like competency wise, the midfield was super open in this season in particular. And I think I would rather we upgraded Nemanja Matic as a defensive midfielder than upgraded one of the centre backs. I think that's almost more of a priority in terms of like what you could potentially get out of the centre backs versus what from a defensive perspective you can potentially get out of Nemanja Matic. And you were talking about who's been United's best defenders, and not that long ago you would have said Chris Smalling was playing as United's best central defender. So it really has been a sort of odd conveyor belt.
Adam, don't shake your head, Adam. Under Van Gaal, Smalling was our best defender.
Oh yeah, Van Gaal. That was a long time ago.
The glory days.
A long time ago.
calendar year 2015, but also there were periods last season where Smalling was like the one that it was like Smalling and one other. So you know,
I think it's been more reliable. Smalling's been more reliable in terms of fitness as well, and just being able to every single week. What I would say about Bailly is, I feel like he could be potentially better under Ole as well, because Ole's a manager that's going to talk to him, he's going to coach him, he's going to try and squeeze more out of him rather than just call him rubbish if he has a bad game, or just punish him if he has a bad game. And I feel all of our players will benefit from that. I think we're seeing that now. Players aren't scared to try things. So with Eric Bailly, if he's naturally erratic as a defender, and then he's going onto the pitch and he's thinking things through twice, 3 times, 4 times. I can't do this, I can't do that. He's just going to be a complete mess. And I think we could begin to see a more relaxed Eric Bailly, as relaxed as he can be in this defence. And with Lindelof playing well alongside him, because Lindelof can calm him down, I reckon, as well, with the way he plays, if he's playing well.
Briefly touched on transfers there. We do have a debate up on the channel that you can check out, the 3 in 3 out debate, containing Statman Dave and Adam McKola. Get on it, it gets heated. And on the way in this preview right now, we're going to be talking about the opposition, talking about Brighton in a little bit more detail, and of course we have the predicted 11, and it was a fun week last week on the predicted 11, so that's coming up. Okay, time for the predicted 11s. The table's looking very interesting at the minute. And Adam McKola, last week for the Spurs game, 11 out of 11. That is incredible. I mean, what an achievement that is. I mean, we're all really proud of you, Adam. You did very well. We're really proud of you. You did do very well. You are bottom of the league, though, compared to the people on today's preview. So, yeah, don't get too ahead of yourself. Yeah, Adam on 7.9 on an average. Paul Rantcast on 8.3. Statman Dave on 8.6. And, yeah, we won't mention where I am. Right, moving on. No, sorry, we've not got the predicted 11s. Let's get straight into it. Statman Dave, who is in your Manchester United team to play Brighton?
First, I'd like to congratulate Adam McKola. 11 out of 11. Well played, sir. Pat on the back for you.
The same.
It's unfortunate, Adam. That's how maths works. But in terms of my predicted 11, I'm pretty much going to go with exactly the same team that played Tottenham. In terms of De Gea, Young, you've got Jones, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, into midfield, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Lingard, Martial, and Rashford. But slightly tweaked, not the 4-4-2 diamond that was played against Tottenham. I think he'll go back to the 4-2-3-1. I'd like to see Bay. I'd like to see him start, and if he does, that'll be a masterclass from Solskjaer, again, because of the previous things that we chatted about. But I kind of think that he'll go with this back four that's quite solid. Again, that was a principle under Ferguson. Keep the back four the same and then build from that going forward. But United at the moment, playing some wonderful football. I can see them doing the same against Brighton. Brighton, a team that we've struggled against, away, we lost 3-2. Struggled at home last season as well. Just playing really, really poor football, not opening teams up, which isn't the case now. So I'm kind of excited. And to see Marcus Rashford in the form that he is in right now, it's disgusting.
Love that. Adam, what's your starting 11, mate? It could be exactly the same team that played Spurs.
David De Gea in goal. Luke Shaw, Bailly and Lindelof take a little bit of a risk, because I don't think Jones played too well. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has kind of he's shown a bit of a ruthlessness, I think, as well, in terms of, like, he's not using Fellaini, he's not using, like, McTominay and some of these players, like, a lot, which is good signs. So Luke Shaw, Bailly, Lindelof, right back, Ashley Young. I would like to see Delo being given more opportunities, but I think Ashley Young probably deserves to start at the moment. Matic could be a good game to rest him, but probably won't. But Matic, Herrera, Pogba, and then up top, Toto, Rashford.
Come on.
And Lingard.
There we go.
I was torn between Mata and Sanchez, so I just went Lingard.
It has to be said as well, can we just mention this dead quick, because he's a player that has been slagged off multiple times by various different people on this channel, me and Adam included. I'm not sure if you guys have had a go at him either, but Nemanja Matic has actually played pretty darn well under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, would you say?
I think he's played very well with the ball, but I still don't think he's playing particularly well without the ball. He made a lot of a reasonable number of ball recoveries against Spurs, I think. Not like Ander Herrera, who put up ridiculous graph-busting numbers. But I worry about his positioning. I worry about his movement. I worry about his all-round ability to be an effective defensive midfielder. Certainly, he's no kind of defensive screen. With the ball, though, I think he's been real good. He's
been better in general, I think, than he has been. But I think the whole team has, which again shows what the big problem was.
Yeah.
Okay, then, Paul, give us your starting 11.
I think it's exactly the same as Max. Dave, Young, Bailly, Lindelof, Shaw, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Lingard, Rashford, Martial. The only two real positions of major debate. I mean, I guess there's a sort of 0.5 of a debate about whether you bring Fred back in. In a way, I'd like to see that, just because I still think it's too soon to write off Fred, and not just because his name is useful in its capacity to rhyme with the word bread. But Lingard, that was the big debate, and then the centre back. I think the reason I've plumped for Bailly over Jones is actually Bailly got in. The reason that he got in the side when he was ready to get in the side, then he got himself suspended immediately because he's Eric Bailly. And I think actually Phil Jones, the reason it's just been Lindelof and Jones for the last 3 games is as much about Bailly's suspension as anything else. So I think there's a certain logic to think he's going to come back in the side. And Lingard just offers so much in terms of the speed of movement and the link-up play. And the one thing I would say is it would be interesting to see Juan Mata in an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer side that doesn't have Antonio Valencia in it, because I think one of the reasons Mata played really badly against Newcastle wasn't anything to do with him, and was about the lack of support he was getting from Valencia.
Okay, Statman Dave, what can you tell me about Brighton then?
They're on a bit of a good run. Pre-Liverpool game, doing really well, but it's one of those sides that they're defensively set up well. Chris Hughton likes to drill his teams in a 4-4-2. Obviously, Pascal Gross is still going to be an issue from set pieces, but you see his defending last week, fouling Mo Salah in the penalty area to concede the penalty. It was the only goal of the game. That tells you quite a lot about Brighton as a side. Is defensively they're set up to negate the attacking threats, and they will sit deep. So the pace and what we've seen from some of the United attacks recently could be a bit of an issue. So it might be one of those games where there is this low block that we've got to get through to get to the goal. Again, Glenn Murray's been in great form again this season.
Okay, Adam, what can you tell me about Brighton, mate? Does anything scare you about them? They did beat us 3-2 earlier in the season.
God. And now I remember, I'm sure we scored quite late with a penalty, didn't we?
Yeah.
90 plus 5.
Oh, God.
That was as well, that game. Before that game, everyone was raving about the team, saying it's the best United starting 11. Finally, Jose's seen the light and he's playing the right team. And they lost to Brighton.
Yeah, but it's the way you play, not who you play.
Yes, we know that now, Adam. Tell me what we need to be afraid of with Brighton.
Some of us knew it at the time, Gaz.
Blur that.
Oh, God. Brighton. Anyway, Brighton. Probably going to get relegated this season. But I don't mind Chris Hughton. I think he's a decent coach. They've got a few players that are handy. Glenn Murray. The midfield. What's his midfielder's name again that Dave mentioned? Pascal Gross. They've got a few players that can cause us problems. What's the lad that plays out wide?
Solly March.
No, the other one.
Knockout.
I used to like him in the Championship. Not seen much of him in the Premiership since they've come up. But yeah, look, this new Manchester United, with this mentality, the way we will play at home, we're not going to give two shits about who they've got, how they're going to set up, all that stuff. We're going to go out to score more goals than them. And the simple facts are 95% likely that is going to happen if we allow our players to play the right style of football. So I'm not too concerned about Brighton, because this Manchester United focus on us, not opposition.
Okay, then let's try Paul. Paul, can you educate me on Brighton while also remembering the players' names?
I think it's relatively unlikely that I don't know if, Mac, did you say you thought they probably would or probably wouldn't go down this season?
I think there's a possibility they will.
I think they're like 7 points clear of it at the moment, and
But they don't
there's
score
so
many goals.
they don't, but they don't concede many goals either, and none of the teams down the bottom are scoring very well. And there's some real bad teams in this division, so I think it'd be a pretty big surprise if they went down from this point out. Not like a all-time earth-shattering shock. I mean, it is notable that their defense is pretty tight, but the other kind of bad team with a tight defense that we played recently, we were able to find a way through. And I think actually the one really key thing that Adam said, was that the focus almost shouldn't be on Brighton in terms of the threats they pose, rather and this was really noticeable against Tottenham. Solskjaer looked at Tottenham and who they were specifically and adapted for them, but with a view to exploit their weaknesses rather than to defend against their strengths. And that subtle shift in approach really paid dividends. And there was some
feeling that. All Mike feeling.
Yeah, I mean,
your last.
I think that there's no doubt Mike Phelan is a very useful person to have around and is an excellent reputation in the game. So, like, what was that, Dave? Sorry?
I'd also say Kieran McKenna was part of it in Dubai, very much engaged in that, working that right-hand side channel, switching the play counter-attack. So Phelan, Solskjaer, Carrick, McKenna, they all deserve a lot of credit, and I completely agree with what Paul's saying. Fantastic.
So what we're saying is, like, Phelan and McKenna were coming up with the system, and then Michael Carrick was showing Pogba how to make that long pass, if he needs showing that, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was showing Rashford how to make that finish, and between them it was a dream team scenario.
That's kind of how it happened.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I love it. Right, excellent. Guys, score predictions. What are we saying? What score are we going to... I was about to say what score are we going to win by. I'm not saying that. What score is it going to finish? Adam, tell me. But to be fair, you're not allowed to predict a draw.
I'm torn between 4 and 5-0.
Oh, it's a beautiful
I love
world.
2019. It's great.
So I'll go 6-0.
Oh, yes. Stick with it. Paul, what are you saying, mate?
I mean, sequentially, at some point there has to be a 6 because there's been a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 so far. So, but I don't think it's going to be this one. I'm go with a moderate, controlled 3-0 win.
Nice. Statman, Dave, what are you saying, mate?
I reckon 5-1 sounds about right. We'll score a few goals, but we're always a little bit open at the back. So yeah, 5-1.
I was a little bit ambitious with my Spurs score prediction. I think I said 3 or 4-1. I thought we'd absolutely steamroller them. So I'm gonna pull it back a little bit now. I'm gonna say we'll win, but 2-0. 2-0. Okay, go check these guys out. Paul has got a great podcast, the United Rantcast. Go check that out. Statman Dave has got a new video coming out on YouTube very, very soon as well, all about Solskjaer and his tactical setup at Manchester United. Look forward to checking that out, learning a bit from that. And Adam, you know where to check Adam out. He'll be on the fan cams after the game against Brighton.
I got a documentary coming. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yes, we're all looking forward to that. It's going to be a good one. Right, we'll see you next time on Full Time Devils. Catch you there. Laters.